Strategy session. The House GOP weighs its options on taking the debt ceiling hostage as Democrats get set to rally the troops at this week's annual retreat. That's today's topic for our agenda panel. Zerlina Maxwell is a political analyst and the Grio.com contributor. Steve Bannon is a producer for The Rachel Maddow Show and MSNBC political contributor. And Amanda Terkel is senior political reporter and politics managing editor at the Huffington Post. Great to see you all three. So House Speaker John Boehner asked about the GOP debt ceiling plan at a news conference a few moments ago. And here's what he said.
A lot of opinions about how to deal with the debt limit. No decisions have been made. The goal here is to increase the debt ceiling. Nobody wants to default on our debt.
He's been consistent with that he does not want to, again, have default. But the Washington Post says the GOP has narrowed its options down to two basic areas on the debt limit. First, trading a one-year extension for the debt limit for approval of the Keystone XL pipeline. The second possible option here, trading a one-year extension for repeal of the Affordable Care Act's risk corridors. Boehner was also asked about the pipeline today, and let's listen to what he had to say about that.
Complex. You think the Keystone pipeline is complex? It's been understudy for 5 years. We build pipelines everywhere in America every day. Do you realize there are 200,000 miles of pipelines in the United States? And the only reason that the president's involved in the Keystone pipeline is because it crosses an international boundary. Listen, we can build it. There's nothing complex about the Keystone pipeline. It's time to build it. Bye.
Well, that might have been, at least in that news briefing, the most energetic part of his answers there. A clean debt limit extension and a balanced budget amendment not being discussed right now, Zerlina, but it sounds like he's narrowed it down to two. Does that mean that it's really the pipeline that he's favoring based on the way he answered that question?
Oh, definitely. I mean, the GOP has made no qualms about the fact that they support the Keystone pipeline and want it built. I think environmentalists have been pushing the president to stop that from happening because of the damage it will do. I think that certainly a clean debt limit extension is something that we need to be pushing the GOP to do. That was the narrative all throughout history. And until 2010, Republicans went along with the debt ceiling extensions, and now all of a sudden it's something that they need to negotiate for and really take hostages and I think that this is a situation where they are not going to hold the hostages. They're not going to shoot the hostage. They're going to go along with it.
Compared to previous debt limit negotiations, though, here, Steve, and I'll go to our NBC political director, Chuck Todd, and what he had tweeted a little bit earlier today. And his take, he was saying, more evidence there won't be much of a debt ceiling fight. The GOP asks are very narrow, meaning there's only those two options. Meanwhile, in response to today's CBO report, Paul Ryan releasing a statement reading, in part, Washington can't continue to ignore the problem. Trillions of dollars in empty promises, and Obamacare is only making things worse. What do you think here? As we look at those two options, what does this mean in terms of what can actually happen, and whether they can get 218 votes really in the House?
Well, they really don't have much of a choice. I mean, last spring, House Republicans said that they would crash the economy on purpose unless their demands are met. Democrats said, no, that's not going to happen. And Republicans bluffed. And then they were called on it, and they passed a clean debt ceiling increase. The same exact thing happened in the fall. And now here we are again, Republicans once again saying, give us what we want or we'll crash the economy on purpose. But it's a fairly transparent con. I mean, everyone realizes that they have no choice. Boehner this morning said they're not going to default, that they're not going to trash the full faith and credit of the United States. And so really, I mean, I kind of feel as if we're just seeing this drama being played out on the national stage, but everyone realizes that Congress has a responsibility to pay for the spending that they've already approved, and that's exactly what they're going to do, and the White House will not negotiate with those who are threatening to hurt Americans on purpose.
So, Amanda, but there's less drama, as, again, Chuck Todd was saying, and what might that say about the Republicans' risk appetite here?
Well, they were burned during the government shutdown. The public overwhelmingly blamed them, and new polls show that if we default on our debt, Republicans will again get the blame. I mean, here's the problem of what John Boehner is facing. He has a Republican Party that is not united. Do you want to do Keystone? Do you want to go after the Affordable Care Act? Or do you want to just pass a clean debt limit? Democrats, however, have been completely united, both in Congress, and President Obama has said we will not negotiate on raising the debt limit. You will not hold the country hostage. And they have been united. They have not moved on that. And Republicans can't even figure out what they want to negotiate on, which is the same problem they faced in the shutdown. So that's where Republicans are having a lot of problems, and which is why a lot of this may just be theatrics in the run-up to 2014, so that they can go and show their constituents, look, we tried to pass Keystone, and it just didn't work.
I want to get your reaction to this, Amanda, because you're there in D.C. You know, House Democrats this morning speaking. They're about to hold their annual retreat this week, and the Wall Street Journal is saying that the congressional Democrats and President that they're parting ways on issues including trade, energy, and health care as the gap widens between the political demands of keeping control of the Senate and advancing parts of the White House agenda. And we know Harry Reid, he met with the president last night, reportedly to discuss strategy. House Dems will be at the White House tonight. So, Amanda, you there in D.C., what's the potential of Democrats really not coming together on these issues from what you hear?
Well, in an election year, it's not uncommon for candidates who are maybe more in conservative states where the president is not as popular to distance themselves a bit from the president. And right now, the president is getting criticism both from the right and the left. There are some more conservative Democrats who would like to see him approve the Keystone XL pipeline. And then there are a lot more sort of more progressive Democrats who are criticizing him, for example, on the NSA spying program. That being said, Democrats have remained united again on raising doing a clean debt limit hike, and also on the main issues that President Obama put forward in his State of the Union address. Extending unemployment benefits, raising the minimum wage, and sort of those other issues of economic inequality.
Zerlina, something else that came across our Twitter account this morning was that The Hill saying that money going to the Tea Party is starting to go down. Is this because, your perspective here, perhaps the Democratic strategy here is paying off?
I think so. I think that the Tea Party has shown that the emperor has no clothes. I think in 2010 they ran largely on job creation. In the past 4 years, they haven't done anything about jobs. And so I think the American people are fed up with their shenanigans. I think they're fed up with them bringing us to the brink of default every 3 months. And, you know, they're not in there to responsibly govern. And I think that is why they're lacking fundraising and like they have in the past. Which
may surprise some. Respond to that if you'd like here, Steve. Also, you know, there's a Reuters article that we were looking at. It points out that Obama needs Democrats here to really have any chance of legislative success this year. That might be an obvious point made, such as his push to reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. So what is one thing that they can push for and they can get done in the House, the president, Democrats and Republicans?
I still think immigration will be the key issue in the coming months. That's the kind of thing that Republicans realize they're struggling with Latino voters, and that they can't go into the 2014 midterms with literally no accomplishments over the course of 4 years. And so I still think if you're looking for legislative accomplishments, I still think there's a possibility that the Senate has already passed its immigration bill. The House could do the same. The White House is eager to get a bill. I think when you're looking ahead, that's the issue to keep an eye on.
All righty. The Griots, Zerlina Maxwell, MSNBC, Steve Bannon, and the Huffington Post's Amanda Terkel. Thank you all three.